So the NBA Finals matchup has been set. Like a sibling who went away to college and has now returned for Thanksgiving break, the Warriors are back in our life after a quick 2-year hiatus from the finals. On the other side of this matchup, the Boston Celtics, who have already won 17 NBA championships, including most recently 2008. You know, that championship that they never let us stop hearing about? Comment down below who you guys think wins the series and in how many games, as I take you all, and I hope very quickly, through the recent history of both these franchises and how it led them to this point. Now let's get to it, shall we? At the 2009 NBA Draft, the Warriors received a gift from God when Davidson standout Stephen Curry dropped in their laps at 7th overall. Minnesota took Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio before Steph Curry. It just always needs to be pointed out. Curry would average 18.6 assists over the course of his first 2 seasons, making all-rookie first team, but was unable to elevate the Warriors, who went a combined 62 and 102 during that stretch. Whether by good fortune or good scouting, combination of both, the Warriors would once again score big at the 2011 draft, selecting Klay Thompson out of Washington State at 11 overall. While Thompson shone when given the chance in his rookie season under new head coach Mark Jackson, averaging 18 points a game over the final 32 games of the season, Curry suffered severe ankle and foot injuries, limiting him to just 26 games played. Golden State would nab Harrison Barnes and Festus Ezeli in the first round of the 2012 draft. As well, they scooped Draymond Green 35th overall using a pick acquired from the New Jersey Nets in a seemingly innocuous cap dump. Gosh, the Nets couldn't make a positive move at this time to save their life. The first flash of greatness from this young Warriors core came during the 2013 playoffs. Steph Curry would average 24 and 9 in his first career playoff series, a 6-game victory over Denver, while Klay Thompson would explode for 34 points and 14 rebounds in a second-round win over San Antonio, who would eventually send them home in 6 games. Progress in the NBA, though, isn't always linear, as despite signing marquee free agent Andre Iguodala prior to the 13-14 season, the Warriors would fall in the first round to Chris Paul and the LA Clippers. Steph Curry, though, did make his first ever All-NBA team. Steve Kerr was hired on as new Warriors head coach in 2014, following the shocking departure of Mark Jackson. Kerr implemented a faster style of play for the Warriors, as well planted Draymond Green permanently in the starting lineup. Golden State would go 67 and 15 during the 14-15 season, with Steph Curry winning league MVP, Klay Thompson making All-NBA, and Draymond Green making All-Defensive. They'd wade through a grueling Western Conference playoff slate before toppling LeBron James, Tristan Thompson, and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. Also important to note, apropos of nothing, that Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP. Running it back with minor tweaks to the roster, the Warriors would set the NBA on fire in 2015-16, breaking over 25 league records, including winning 73 games. Steph Curry won his second MVP, while Thompson and Draymond Green joined him on the All-NBA teams. In 2 of the best NBA playoff series in recent memory, the Warriors would turn the tables on OKC after being down 3-1, winning the West Final in 7 games. Unfortunately, that same fate would befall them in the NBA Finals, as LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and the Cleveland Cavaliers would come back down from 3-1 to win it. In a hotly debated, primarily hated move, the Warriors would lure in and sign former MVP Kevin Durant during the summer of 2016, thus sealing the fate of the NBA for the ensuing 2 seasons. The 2017 and 18 Warriors were a spectacle, winning the title both seasons over the Cavaliers, with Durant taking home 2 Finals MVP awards, as he'd average a combined 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists per game over the 2 series. Their destructive momentum appeared to finally be halted when Draymond Green and Kevin Durant had a shouting match towards the end of a game early in the 2018-19 season, with Green reportedly yelling, quote, "We don't need you, we won without you, leave," towards KD, while Durant responded, "That's why I'm out." Not Draymond's smartest choice. Despite this, the Warriors' talent would nearly win out, as they'd reach the NBA Finals for a 5th straight season. Durant, though, would be felled by a severe Achilles injury, and Klay Thompson would tear his ACL. The Warriors would lose to the Toronto Raptors in 6 games, signaling the end of an era. Kevin Durant would indeed leave the Bay in the summer of 2019, signing with Brooklyn. Klay Thompson would miss the entire 19-20 season, while Steph Curry suited up in just 5 games during the COVID-shortened year. The Warriors would acquire Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick in a trade for D'Angelo Russell during the 19-20 season. They'd go on to select James Wiseman, 2nd overall in 2020. Even without Thompson for the 2021 season, Steph Curry would lead a bit of a return to form for the Warriors, who'd go 39-33 during the regular season and lose out in the play-in tournament. Curry would win his 2nd scoring title in the process. Klay Thompson would finally return during the 21-22 season. Draymond Green had a renaissance season as the defensive stalwart for the Warriors, while Steph Curry was his usual productive self. Andrew Wiggins has finally adapted to his surroundings as a 4th scoring option and has thrived in that role. Jordan Poole, from out of nowhere, has developed into some kind of Steph Curry light in just his 3rd NBA season. While the Warriors roster has enough depth that even without top draft picks, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, and Moses Moody playing much of a role, if at all, the Warriors have dominated. After beating the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Mavericks in a combined 16 games, Golden State is well rested and enters the NBA Finals as the prohibitive favorite on paper, at least according to every single sports betting platform. The Warriors are after their 4th title since 2015. How about the Celtics, though? In the summer of 2007, then GM of the Celtics, Danny Ainge made a pair of blockbuster trades to acquire perennial All-Star Ray Allen and former league MVP Kevin Garnett. Along with Paul Pierce, the Celtics had a newfound Big Three set to run the East, and in their first year together, that plan paid dividends. Boston would go 66-16, eventually beating Kobe Bryant and the LA Lakers in 6 games in the finals. The trio would lead Boston to a 62-20 record the following season. However, Kevin Garnett would miss the final 25 games and the playoffs due to a knee injury, and Boston would bow out in the 2nd round to Orlando. With their Big Three now getting up there in age, the clock was ticking for the Celtics, who would limp to a 50-32 record. However, led by a breakout playoff run by 24-year-old Rajon Rondo, Boston would indeed return to the finals, again to face the Lakers. The Celtics would take a 3-2 series lead in 2010, but in part to losing starting center Kendrick Perkins, they dropped consecutive games as the Lakers won the title. Celtics fans swear that Perkins' injury shifted the series. The ensuing 3 seasons saw a shift in power in the East, as LeBron James joined the Miami Heat, who would beat the Celts in the playoffs in both 2011 and 2012. Boston's Big Three swan song would be in the first round against the Knicks in 2013, where they lost. The 2013 offseason was a revolutionary one for the Celtics, one which is still paying dividends. Doc Rivers departed and Brad Stevens took over as head coach. More importantly, the Celtics would trade Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for a slew of veteran players plus 3 unprotected first-round picks and a pick swap. Ladies and gentlemen, GM Billy King. If you want more information on how that trade destroyed the Brooklyn Nets franchise, I recently made a video on it here on my channel. Go check it out, it's pretty unreal. After a bottoming out 2013-14 season, the Celtics would grab future Defensive Player of the Year Marcus Smart with their first-round pick at number 6 overall. Thanks in large part to Stevens' coaching and the midseason pickup of Isaiah Thomas, the Celtics would return to the playoffs in 2015, only to get swept by Cleveland. Boston continued to accrue assets, taking Terry Rozier in the first round of the 2015 draft, and once again they made the playoffs in 15-16 led by Thomas, once again losing in the first round. The 2016 offseason is where the future began to be shaped for the Celtics. Using the 2nd Nets acquired first-round pick, Boston would draft future All-Star Jaylen Brown 3rd overall. They also signed free agent Al Horford to a 4-year deal. Completing a truly miraculous 3-year stretch, Isaiah Thomas would average just shy of 29 points a game in the 2016-17 season, making 2nd team All-NBA. Boston would advance all the way through to the East Final, where they'd fall to LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That playoff run and result was essentially a moot point though for the franchise, as GM Danny Ainge was once again ready to make a splash. First, using the pick swap acquired from the Nets trade, Boston would select future All-NBA team member and Conference Finals MVP Jason Tatum at 3rd overall. In free agency, they'd sign marquee name Gordon Hayward to a massive deal. Then, using the 4th and final Nets acquired first-round pick, Boston would trade for Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers. With their new core set, the Celtics were given the third best odds to win the title prior to the 17-18 season. That shifted quickly, however, when Gordon Hayward suffered a gruesome leg injury in the first game of the season. Still though, a balanced attack led by Kyrie Irving saw the Celtics win 55 games and advance through to the East Finals. However, with Irving sidelined to injury, the Celtics would see their season end at the hands of LeBron James for the 5th time in 8 seasons. Boston must loathe LeBron entirely. Boston would run it back with primarily the same roster, winning 49 games in 18-19, but again came up just short in a disappointing second-round loss to Milwaukee. In the span of just 4 months during the season, Kyrie Irving would shift from a seeming long-term commitment to Boston to preparing folks for his departure. That would come to fruition as Irving would sign with Brooklyn during the summer of 2019. To replace Irving, the Celtics would make a move to acquire former All-Star Kemba Walker from the Charlotte Hornets. While in addition to Irving, they also lost Al Horford to free agency as the big fella signed with Philadelphia. Boston would return to the East Finals again in 2020 in the Orlando bubble. Led by their young built core of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, plus veterans Kemba Walker and Gordon Hayward, the Celtics would valiantly lose in 6 games to Miami. The Celts battled injuries and COVID for much of the 2021 season, including the loss of Jaylen Brown prior to the playoffs. They were no match for a healthy Brooklyn Nets side featuring Kevin Durant, James Harden, and of course Kyrie Irving. The lone bright spot in a 5-game dismantling was Jason Tatum popping off for 50 points in a Game 3 win. Boy, those Nets, they finally got the last laugh on the Celtics, am I right, people? Big changes occurred though following that playoff loss. Brad Stevens would shift into a management role as Danny Ainge stepped down. Ime Udoka was hired on as new head coach. Kemba Walker was dealt to OKC in a trade which saw the Boston return of Al Horford. After an absolute fleecing of the Brooklyn Nets way back in 2013, the Boston Celtics were able to stack a tremendous young core throughout the late 2010s. They were extremely patient, eventually making big plays to add legitimate star power to that core beginning in 2017. Ironically though, the big veteran names added over the past decade have all come and gone, leaving that same tremendous young core in control. Come and gone and come again in Al Horford's case, but I digress. With Jason Tatum leveling up to a first-team All-NBA level, Jaylen Brown becoming an overqualified number 2 option, Marcus Smart and Robert Williams developing into impact defenders, and Al Horford returning to former glory, the Celtics were able to sweep the Nets, outlast Giannis and the Bucks, and narrowly escape against the Heat. To me, this is one of the hardest NBA finals to pin down and predict that we've had in recent memory. I don't want to sound too haterish, but to me, the Warriors' dominance has been a bit overblown considering they faced a one-man Nuggets team, a Grizzlies team that lost Ja Morant, and another one-man team in the Dallas Mavericks. Now, they beat who was in front of them and they had no choice in who they played. I'm not trying to dispute any of that. I just think that the Celtics will be their toughest test yet. On the flip side, the Celtics suffocated a Brooklyn Nets team that was unequivocally a playoff and title contender heading into the playoffs. They were able to slow down the league's best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, in the Milwaukee Bucks, albeit yes, without Chris Middleton. I am, however, concerned that it did take Boston 7 games to beat Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. Super well-coached team, and Jimmy played out of his mind, but that series was an absolute slog. At the end of the day, for me, I do think the Warriors' big game experience will play out and win them this series. We've seen the Celtics struggle to usher home games all throughout the playoffs as recently as Game 7. I mean, that game got really close. It was within 1 shot at the end. Additionally, although it's only a 2-game difference, it does feel like the Warriors have played way fewer games than the Celtics, way less physical and intense games. They seem well rested and getting healthier coming into the finals, whereas the Celtics are a bit banged up still. My loose prediction for this series is Warriors in 6, with Steph Curry finally getting his finals MVP. But honestly, all I'm hoping for is a super tight, super competitive, and super entertaining series, bruh. We need it as basketball fans. If we get some good intense hoops, then we can all walk away winners. Except for Celtics or Warrior fans. Whatever team loses, those fans won't be happy. But the rest of it, you know what? Let's just end the video right now.